Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Unfiltered Tea. I'm back. I took a little break. I had big plans to read all of the transcripts for the Trump trial and, break it down. And then I got really, really bored and really busy at work. And I asked around and somebody said something really smart to me, which was if you are not interested and you are bored by it, then everybody that is watching is also going to be bored by it. So why don't you follow the rabbit hole you went down? So that's what we're doing. So tonight, I'm under a time crunch this evening. Otherwise, this would have been live. But I have an hour and a half to get this here and out before I will be glued to the game 4 of the Boston Bruins. So, what are we doing today? We're shipping up to Boston, ladies and gentlemen. If you know, you know. If you don't know, Dropkick Murphys. Had a moment. We are in the middle of all things playoffs, stuff like that. And the rabbit hole that I fell down is the Karen Reid trial. And I originally started thinking, I'm not going to have anything to add to this. Emily D. Baker is doing amazing live court casting coverage. You know, I'm listening to that all day. And then in the evening, Runkle is doing great recaps. And they're both attorneys and they're better at explaining the law stuff than I ever will be. But then I realized, and Peter Tragos is doing some great recaps as well. I'm there for all of it. Here's the thing, though. None of them are from around these parts. So, I'm noticing a few things like that. EDB went to college at UMass Amherst, so she's got a little bit of it, but there are some things that we have up here that we understand that I feel like I can be a little closer to the jury that's sitting in that jury box. Why? Because as you will hear as I go along and listen to this, you're going to hear some R's dropping, maybe being added in some places, some stuff like that. So I thought instead of, just yelling at my TV, Aurora, you have a camera, you have a YouTube channel, you haven't put up a video in a while. Why don't you do that? And we know I love my hockey, and I swear the two converge I'm 97% certain that the judge and a whole lot of the attorneys involved from the Boston area in this Karen Reid trial are hockey fans. Why do I think this? Because not this past Friday, but the Friday before, the judge was cantankerous as all get out. Everybody was a little snippy. You know why? Because we were going into Game 7 against Toronto. It was a big deal. Monday, having won that game, moved on to round 2. Everybody was just a little more chill, a little more relaxed. So I also have to say, this is the time of year in Boston. Well, scratch that. Hold the phone. Don't jump ahead of yourself, Aurora. Don't do that. Do I ever listen to myself? No. Is this mostly me just talking to myself? Mm-hmm. This is where I have to channel my inner producer and go, Aurora, shh, run the intro, then get into it. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about news, politics, and entertainment, so pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. All right, we're back. So my great big plan for today was to get us all caught up with the Karen Reid trial. For those of you who were like me and living, I don't know, under rocks, and you don't know, this is a big deal trial. The animosity on both sides is pretty extreme. There's one group of people that absolutely think she's guilty, and needs to go to jail for running over her boyfriend. There's another group that is very, very like, there's no way she could be guilty. This is all a cover up. Something else happened inside the house. We don't know what it was. And that is where we're at with the trial. So I know there's a lot of stuff on the internet where folks have just kind of wandered back down and ended up in these rabbit holes and traced everything out, kind of the way I've done with Baldwin, right? About this, that, and the other. However, I didn't do that. It got close enough that I was just like, you know what? I'm going to watch it like I'm a jury member. So I am, but also not, because I'm not a jury member, because I'm not in that area. However, I do know folks from Massachusetts. I know folks in the area. It's a thing. And there are a few things, it's like when watching Murdaugh and stuff like that, you've got your Southern colloquialisms. Well, let me tell you. First of all, the courtroom is the size of a postage stamp, almost literally. And it is the new courtroom built a couple hundred years ago instead of like 300 years ago. So, it's things like that where some people who are not from this area hear that and go, wait, what? And you know what I just realized I did? I just started, well, all right, we're going to do trial, and then I guess we'll end with hockey because I flipped things around in my head. Sorry for the live buffering, guys. This is why it would have been a live instead of recorded live. Anyway, so the courtroom itself is the size of like a postage stamp. And then I'm pretty sure that court starts each day with hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Although we're outside of Boston, so it's hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, which gets real funny to watch what people are trying to see what that is in the chat. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I think it's very smart of Karen Reed to have both a Boston attorney on her team as well as some attorneys from away. Here's why. Up here in these parts, we do not take from away real kindly. We don't, we always, and it's part of the trial. So I'm very curious to see how that all plays out, because it is coming into how things are handled and who handled what. And I'm curious as to how that's all going to play out. If you don't know, up here, we crack a lot of jokes of folks from away. I will welcome folks. But in Maine, at least, I don't think it's this way in Massachusetts quite the same way, but in Maine, if I'm going into a certain area of Maine, I brush up on my genealogy for the last 3 or 4 generations, because if I don't know that information off the top of my head, I'm not going to get very far with anybody I want to talk to over there. So, yeah. So some little touches that I can maybe bring to the insanity that is this. And yeah, so here's where we're going to start. My original plan was, let's get all caught up on the last week and a half. Not going to happen. I'm in a time crunch. So I made it to, I have notes for going through today 4. I'm going to skip over a lot of stuff. Why? Because D.A. Lally doesn't get very far very fast, ever. Ever. Let's see. I made a note. Do I remember what the note was? No, I've got notes on his opening. So let's see. Oh, yeah. One of the things I am gonna pull up some video of the defense's opening statement because they brought things for us to mark down and pay attention to, whereas Lally did not. We hear about a snowstorm. He promises that he's going to bring us lots of testimony from first responders and things like that. Great. We're gonna have some videos, some text messages. Um, a lot of the stuff he seems to be bringing in is disputed evidence. I think we're gonna have some arguments over it. There's a lot of testimony. Okay, great. Um, I didn't my frustration in his opening statement is I did not hear the evidence will show blah 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 blah. You're gonna see text messages and this, whatever. This is also the opening statement, so I didn't realize that when the man asks the questions, it's a lot of what, if any, maybe, sorta, kinda, did you think possibly? Sir, editing is great. Hire an editor for your questions, dear Lord. So, considering that I went back and I rewatched the opening statements and I hit a point where I got lost again, the statement is just over a half an hour long. It shouldn't be that hard for me to follow. It is. I am not on one side or the other. I just can tell you that the prosecution is not setting up their case very well as far as what I am concerned of um, at the moment. So, um, and give me one moment while I pull some other stuff up. So, what we are going to do, so instead of, you know what, Aurora, stop talking. Stop talking. Pull up this. And what we are going to do, this is the defense's opening statement, which to my way of thinking was a whole lot easier to understand and follow. So we are going to go ahead and start. This is Mr. Yannetti. He's got a clear and concise notion in his opening statement. Find the play button. There we go.
Karen Reed was framed. Her car never struck John O'Keefe. She did not cause his death. And that means that somebody else did. You will learn that it was no accident that John O'Keefe was found dead on the front lawn of 34 Fairview Road in Canton on January 29th of 2022. You will learn that at that address lived a well-known and well-connected law enforcement family in Canton, the Alberts. Because the Alberts were involved, and because they had close connections to the investigators in this case, Karen Reed was framed for a murder she did not commit. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. As I previously told you, my name is David Yannetti. I'm an attorney with an office in Boston. Together with attorneys Alan Jackson and Elizabeth Little, it is truly my privilege and my honor to represent Karen Reed during this trial.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Ladies and gentlemen, me and technology. I hate it when that happens. That's all right though, because okay, sorry about that glitch in the system. I'm gonna let it play for a little bit longer, and then we're going to zoom because the man has a plan. He has delivered on that, by the way. If you've been watching, we are a week in, and yeah, yes. I mean, they investigated, but as we're going to get into the investigation, leaves me with some questions. And pardon me. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. It's a little weird. Okay. So that is what I'm going to play of his opening statement at the moment. He promises to bring timeline, receipts, and evidence. Oh, for heaven's sakes, I apologize. The pollen is currently trying to kill me, as it will continue to do for the next few months. Although I have to say, I need to look it up. The lead investigator in this case is named Michael Proctor, and my first thought is, what in the Salem witch trials is happening right now? I mean, you can't make some of this stuff up. All right. While we are on this, all right. So let's go through. Am I referring to my notes? A little bit. Oh yeah, and he goes through what they brain buffering. My apologies. The evidence they have, the evidence they've disproven. I could play the whole thing. It's highly entertaining. I'm gonna skip it for the most part, I think. Because there's plenty of channels where I highly recommend you get their commentary while watching the whole thing, because I think it's very helpful. Mine is here and there, and I'm trying to get caught up. Enough excuses, Aurora. Just keep moving. They're going to go through. There's no evidence of this. There's no evidence of that. Then the other witnesses for that day are the brother of Officer John O'Keefe and the sister-in-law of Officer John O'Keefe. We go through just the immense tragedy. And I don't really care what side of the Karen Reed is guilty, Karen Reed is not guilty, or you're like me and you're waiting for the prosecution to prove their case, which so far they haven't done. There are two kids involved who first lost their mother, then 2 months after that, lost their father due to extreme tragedy, medical issues. Then, a few years after that, they lose their guardian, who is their uncle. And not only that, but the uncle's girlfriend is accused of hitting him. And so, family torn asunder. I don't give a shit who did it, other than justice needs to be found for this officer. And if Karen Reed did it, the DA needs to do a better job of proving that. And if she didn't do it, then why are we here and why didn't we do this right? And so far, I have to say, I have a lot of questions. Questions mean doubt. So if I were sitting on the jury, she's walking because I can't get to beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, I will say that it wasn't until the Snapchat video combined with the cell phone and car evidence in the Murdaugh trial, it wasn't until those things came in where I got to beyond a reasonable doubt. But once those things both hit the evidence, I was like, I can't see who else it would be. So we have that. I am going to swoop as we get into day two. Day two. Yes, day two. I'm going to swoop. We'll pull up day two. Okay, because day two, we got our clip for the trial. We got our fun little moment for the trial. So day two, we have Officer Sarah. This is where we're starting to get into the police officers and first responders that are the first ones on the scene. And we also get into one of the all-time favorite moments so far of this trial, because even a deep trial like this needs to have these moments of levity. So let me pull up that moment of levity. It's delightful. And we'll have a little chit chat at that point about how New Englanders, specifically those in the Boston area and Southern Maine area, deal with the letter R. And I will walk you through some of the rules of how we deal with the letter R, because it's going to be important here. So let me pull this up. Can I get the right? Oh, yeah. Okay. Share.
No.
All right. Let me go back a little. Let me go back a couple seconds. We'll go back a minute and I'll let it be.
Yes.
Are you talking about the major trauma?
This is Timothy Nuttall. He was one of the first responders on scene. He is witness number 5. Have I skipped over a lot of the first responders? Yep, I have.
That he suffered to the back of his head, or the egg that you earlier described?
I was more just because it was directly in front of me. It was on the front side of his head.
Okay, so it wasn't the right side of his head. If you said right side of your head, you might point above your ear, right?
I rewound
That's
a
what
little
you're talking about.
too far, but he's going into some of the injuries.
To use my
with
person, I would say right here. So more towards the right, above his right eye.
Right of center, but still on the front of his head.
Correct.
Sorry about that if I'm blasting your ears out.
Did not make any note of another injury on the back of his head.
No.
You talked about the injuries to the right side of his arm, correct?
Correct.
You noted that those injuries appeared to be scratches.
Yes.
That's your word, not mine, right?
Correct.
And when you see the actual photos, scratches is an understatement. I'm just saying this is, yeah.
You didn't say that those were blunt force trauma.
No.
You didn't say that they were abrasions.
Scratches and abrasions, in my point of view, seem to go hand in hand.
But the word that you used was scratches.
Yes, there were like furrows down.
Say that again?
Furrows, if you will, for lack of a better term. Just.
I don't understand that word.
So if you remove something,
Yes.
like you create a furrow in the skin, is that?
Furrows.
Yes, there you go. Sorry, excuse my accent.
No. I'm on your turf.
Fair enough.
It's my accent. I'm so sorry. Oh, boy, that one. It's going to be a meme somewhere.
Hey, my cousin Vinny.
Yeah, got it. All right. So
I had to pull that up and show it, because will it be a meme somewhere? Uh-huh. Are we going through it? Yes. The lead up to this, as I'm watching the lead up to this, and begin me. Okay. As I'm watching the lead up to this, I understood furrows. I knew, because I understood his accent because I'm from up here. This is the sort of thing where if I'm around this for too long, I start slipping into it. And then inevitably somebody who knows me and has known me for a really long time is like, Aurora, what's up? Why are you slipping into this? Mine is a little bit different, but it's like if you can understand the Scottish dialect, um, or a lot of it, it's kind of funny when you realize that a lot of people can't. And so I understood what furrows was. To me, the difference between furrow and furrow is that same. I don't know, but I also live up here, so this is an excellent time for us to discuss the letter R and how. Because the joke is always right. I'm going to go pack the car and have it, Dad. Right? That's the joke. That's what we go with. But what a lot of people, and as a general rule, Southern Mainers, some down east, but it's a little bit different. The down east accent is a little bit different, but is in the Massachusetts, Maine, especially along the seaboard, we've never fully gotten along with the letter R, but we also need to balance it out a little bit. So what has confused some folks in the chat is you'll go for ages and not hear a hard R hardly anywhere you expect to hear one. And then somebody will say, well, then I had the idea to go get the solo cups. And everybody's like, what? Yeah. So to balance it out, we add R's where there are no R's from time to time. It's just how we roll. So that is day 2. That is witness Timothy Nuttall. Again, I am going through this so quickly. There's a lot of evidence that does come in. Here's what I can tell you so far. It snowed. It was a significant storm. If one more person says blizzard, was it yes. A 22-inch snowstorm up in these parts is yay snow day, but it's not dear Lord, the world is ending. Not that you would know that from some of the testimony. Whatever, with all their shoveling and stuff like that. Okay, I was going to pull up a little bit from day 3. Oh, one other thing. D.A. Lally keeps having people give directions for how they got to 34 Fairview Road. It is giving the impression that we give directions at all. Never mind, well. But it is giving the mistaken impression that in Massachusetts, Maine, you're going to get directions. No, in Massachusetts, they like to put up the sign saying, hey, you should have taken a U-turn 3 streets ago at 3 streets, but no signage where you need to make the U-turn. The joke in Maine is, oh, you can't get there from here, dear. Why? Well, let me give you an example of how we typically give directions around here. Go about 5 minutes up the old Gray Road, then take a left at the old Allen Place. Not the new one they built 10 years ago, but the old one. Then go about 5 minutes down that road. You should see the place on the right. And if you've hit the water, you've gone too far. I could have named an actual place. The road name is real. But here's the thing. Gray Road is also Portland Road, is also Lewiston Road, depending on where you are. That road has like 3 or 4 different names, maybe more, because I think actually, no, Gray Road, Portland Road, Falmouth Road, I think they're all kind of the same. But and you have to know who lived in a place 10 years ago, and we give it, and it's not like a mile down the road, it's 5 minutes down the road. Why? But everybody drives a different 5 minutes, and yeah. So I'm just saying, if you are in Maine and Massachusetts and you expect somebody to give you decent directions, I'm just going to tell you that the GPS is there to save you. Cause no, that's not how we roll up in these parts. We are the land of if you know, you know. So if you know how to get to a place, great. If you don't know how to get to a place, have somebody in your car that has already been there and can get you there. Then you'll learn how to get to the place. What can I say? So we have day 3. I had my witness list. Nope. I know there was Officer Flamati. I do recommend looking up other things. Am I looking at both my notes? I am. Right, because then I hopped ahead to Miss Parcelot, Katie McLaughlin. So we are going to zoom to there. I am going to do that. And did I get the timestamp right? That is my question. Should I have my notes better organized? Mm-hmm. Do I? Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. That is not the one I wanted. Hi, guys. Sorry. I thought I had this organized and then I messed myself up. I apologize. Welcome to... No, we don't need that. That's not what I wanted. Did I put it in my other notes? This is me recording live. Me recording live. This is why y'all... Oh, here we go. Here we go. I found what I needed. I found what I needed. Should I start using number of pages? I should. Okay. So I'm skipping over a whole bunch of witnesses. Again, if you just want the recaps, I would go watch Runkle's recaps. They're great. And you'll get a much better sense of what each person's testimony is. It is really important if you're following this trial. I highly recommend, if you're watching it live, well, if you don't want any commentary, just go ahead and watch it live. If you do want commentary with your trial, I recommend Emily D. Baker. I love her court casting. It is very helpful, especially when Lally is gagging, which is always so. But for me to sit here and do recaps of each day, I can get into more. If you want me to do more of a deep dive into each of the front end of witnesses, I will. My plan is to catch up. And tonight I am just going through some of the ones that had me screaming and where I can sit here and say, that's not how we roll up in these parts. So, because yeah, there's accusations. As we're getting a little bit deeper, we're getting into more specific testimony and folks who were there, the Alberts, that kind of thing. Will I be covering the Alberts testimony? Yep. Am I going to do it tonight? No. Hockey. So, but what we are going to do right now is we are going to have a little moment because I went off in the general direction of my dog, who I'm pretty sure looked at me and was like, Mother, camera, YouTube, just go on there and do it. So that's what we're doing. So I am going to pull up some of this cross-examination of round 1 of Katie McLaughlin. Katie McLaughlin is the witness who is a first responder and is the person, it seems, the only person who heard directly Karen Reed say, I hit him. Well, that's very interesting because it seems as though some of her friends, Katie McLaughlin's friends, um, are close with the folks in the house where Officer O'Keefe's body was found in the front yard. I still can't get over the fact that nobody thought to knock on the door or go in. And as we get into days 5 and 6, we're gonna have to talk about the leaf blower and things like that. Did I run out of time getting my timestamps? Yep. I'm a baby YouTuber. Sometimes we don't go the way we think we ought to go. That's just what we do. Let me pull this up. We're gonna watch this a little bit because I have thoughts. I have thoughts on this, and we're gonna have a little story time. Remind me. I say remind me as though, we're live. We're not live today. I'm gonna try and go live this week. But work is work, so we shall see. So let's see what you have to say, Miss Katie. And I do call her, I try not to do the name calling thing. I feel like Miss Parcelot is maybe unfair to the reference point. Probably it is totally unfair to the reference point, but oh my heavens, let me tell you, I'm gonna embiggen myself for a minute. Okay. Before we get into this, let me tell you a little something about us Maine and Massachusetts girls, especially girls who end up on the fire department. The type of personalities you need to deal with on a day-to-day basis in that kind of line of work mean you don't parse your words. You don't watch them. You say what you mean what you say. And probably you've got a few joking, good-natured, but also very serious threats up your sleeve should somebody mess with you in the wrong way. Going along and going, oh, I'm so sorry, maybe I didn't understand. No, that's for folks in a corporate office somewhere, not for folks on the fire department. Okay. I'm gonna sit on my soapbox for a minute while we go through some of this.
I don't know that I agree with that.
That you told Trooper Proctor is exactly the same
I
story.
understand what you're saying. So I understand what you're saying.
So has your story evolved?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Ms. McLaughlin, who's Caitlin Albert?
I went to high school with somebody named Caitlin Albert.
Somebody named Caitlin Albert.
I went to high school with somebody named Caitlin Albert.
So do you know Caitlin Albert?
I do.
You're friends with Caitlin Albert?
I would say more acquaintances, not close friends.
How do you describe an acquaintance?
I would say that we have mutual friends, so we might see each other occasionally because of mutual friends, but we don't have a one-on-one friendship or hang out regularly.
Who's her dad?
I don't know.
Okay, we're just gonna pause with I don't know. Here's why. I went to high school with somebody who ended up in the national news. If something else with that same person happened and they put me on the stand, you know what I would be able to say? 1, yeah, I think we went to high school together. 2, we used to live nearby each other. And 3, I have not heard of or seen this person in well over a decade. The last time I saw them, I was driving behind them and realized that they were in front of me at an intersection in the city that we both grew up in. Not this, I went to high school with somebody by that name. They ended up looking up how many people, well, the internet ended up looking up how many people were in her graduating class. Less than in my graduating class. Now, I've forgotten a whole lot of people in my school, whole lot of people that I went to school with. But you know what? If they were involved in anything like this in my area, you bet you I am looking them up in the yearbook and I'm going, oh, yeah, them. And I could tell you if I'd interacted with them, if I hadn't interacted with them, all of that. This is a whole lot of weird caginess. Didn't sit well with me. And there's more timestamps because I want to see the judge, but I don't have my timestamp for it. So I think what I am going to do is we're going to come back to her a little bit later because she's great to then launch into the leaf blower. So we will come back to Miss because the internet then interneted. So catching up. She does this. Then overnight, the internet does what the internet does. And the internet sent the defense a whole lot of pictures of her and Caitlin Albert together. And this is what we get into here is a whole lot of, I don't know that picture. I don't know. It looks old. It looks old. Everything looks old. Ma'am, respectfully, you're like 9 as far as I'm concerned. She graduated in 2014. Ma'am, no, I know it's old for you, but that's just going to get older. So anyway, that is day 4. So I've not caught us up to day 4. This is my thoughts from a local yokel, not right in that area. Trust me. Why am I being so cautious about this? Because I know how I feel when people are like, I lived in your town for a summer. I'm a Mainer too. No, honey, you're not. Nope. We are a strange group up in here. So I'm gonna leave that with here. Words are helpful. Do I have them? Do I know how to use them? Most of the time I do. But apparently today, in my attempt to zoom. But puck drop is in like half an hour, and I want to get this recorded, time stamped, and up for you by puck drop so that after the game, you can watch that. So we're going to leave it with Katie McLaughlin. We're going to circle back to that. Here's though, I'm going to leave you with this. So for those who know, when we come back, you're going to see this a whole lot more. I'm going to use this a whole lot more because on Friday of this week, I'm watching DA Lally go through a whole testimony with somebody. Can't remember who because that's how riveting it was. Will we catch up to that? Yes. Are you going to see this clip I'm about to show a whole lot? Also, yes. Because DA Lally doesn't get anywhere quickly, which leads my little brain to tap into Boondock Saints and Mr. Bob Marley and Boondock Saints. So let me go ahead and let's stop. Let's do that. So if you're in the chat with me and you see me put something like this in, let me tell you, this is what we're doing.
He ain't going nowhere. He's going fucking nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, no, no. Mayday, mayday. Okay. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we don't need that. So are we going to be running through that a whole lot? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Am I gonna pull that up? Oh yeah. Because that's how I feel. Every time. Every time Lally gets up and gets to the, third or fourth, what was the weather that day question?
He's going fucking nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere.
Also, it's a good reminder of how many movies we have of this sort of a plot line that take place in Boston. Because that. So before we enter Monday and we have more of where you going, nowhere. Let me do one swoop and then we're gonna chit chat hockey playoffs for a moment. I'm gonna then say goodnight. I'm gonna rush through to get this up. And then stay tuned. Stay tuned on Threads and Instagram, the Aurora Age White. That's where I'm going to give you heads up and notices of where am I going, what am I doing, what am I posting, because we're living in Boston for the next little bit, babies. That's where we're going to be. So, whoop. All right. We're going to cover, am I going to let my accent come out? Maybe. I might let the Boston come through. So, all right. This for those who love sports ball and those who love hockey as much as I do. Welcome to the time of year where you have a heart attack every other day. And I'm going to warn everybody who is watching the Karen Reid trial. I promise you, I feel like that judge is a hockey fan because when they are not doing very well, she gets crankier and crankier. And when they're doing great, she's much more calm and reasoned. Is that how it should be? Probably not. Do I think it's affecting the calls? No. Do I think it is affecting how she is discussing things with the lawyers? Mm-hmm. Yep. I do. So, PWHL. We are at the ladies' original 6. And somehow Boston came from behind, way behind. I didn't think we were going to clinch a spot. I really didn't. I was sad for the ladies, but Frankel and Knight and the whole team just pulled it together and the goalieing got tighter and it's been a ride. They have won the last 2 games. And oh God, last night was double overtime. Now, for those of you who watch hockey, you know that in the regular season, overtime is like a regular, no, it's sudden death overtime, but it's not a full period. I can't remember how long it is. And if they don't get anywhere, it goes to a shootout. Not in the playoffs. In the playoffs, you have overtime. And if nobody scores, at least they turned it into sudden death. But if nobody scores, you have another overtime until somebody scores. So last night, at the very, very, very end of the second overtime period, Boston scored to take a 2-0 lead against Montreal. Do the ladies have the same kind of rivalry as boys? Mm-hmm. Also, if you don't think that women fight the way the boys do, I encourage you to watch Boston Bruins and then the Boston ladies play. The fighting style is a little bit different also because the women they're smart. They have full face masks on. So, you can't really pop somebody in the head quite the same way. You can. They found ways, believe me. But there are fights. So if you're thinking, oh, the girls don't fight. Oh, no, they do. They absolutely do. So they have a 2-0 lead. I don't know if I want them to sweep or not. The women play so differently from the men. I don't know. So many times sweeping in a 4-game, doing a 4-game sweep doesn't always help the team going in. But then again, doing 7-game stretches all of the time, Boston, I'm looking at you, is not good either because then the injuries mount up. Whatever. Anyway, ladies take it. Oh, let me check my schedule because I feel like I need to tell you when the ladies are playing next. And you can look it up. Playoffs. Let's see. When is Boston playing next? Monday, May 13th is Toronto versus Minnesota. I'm thinking we're going to end up with a Toronto versus Boston final match, but I could be wrong. Tuesday, May 14th is game 3 of Boston versus Montreal. Highly recommend. You should be able to find it on Nessun or Nessun Plus. But the PWHL website is great for having that information. The boys, Boston Bruins, they play tonight. I've lost track of what game we're on. Let me look. Am I checking things as I go? Mm-hmm. Let's see. We are on game 4. And Florida leads 2-1. So we need to tie it up. Here's where it gets weird, though, because at this time of year, I see a lot of things going around on the internet. Half of the fans are like, don't worry, you still got this. Not the way they've been playing the last 2 games. The other half is like, well, there they go, choking again. I don't think either of those is really true. Do I think they are getting a little stuck in their own head? I do. Because it becomes a loop. And when it becomes a loop, they got to do something to break themselves out of it. I think we have the best coach and the best captain right now to do that. Bergie was great. We don't have Bergie. Short of Bergie, Marshy is fantastic. I'm a little worried given his injury. He's on a day-by-day, which I hate. And I think the Panthers are going to try and take advantage of that. The Panthers have been going at it from this notion. The Panthers are trying to squish Boston, just squish them, take them out that way. And also, the Panthers are truly epically great at those sneaky holds and swarming. And for some reason that I cannot figure out, Boston can, when they're in the right mindset and they just go to work and they just play their game and they stop worrying about trying to keep up with the Panthers, it switches everything. And then the Panthers have to keep up with them. And that's what they need to do. They need to go onto the ice tonight, like anybody's going to see this from the team. But they need to go onto the ice tonight. They need to be like Swayman or a dog or Taylor Swift. They need to shake off whatever funk has been in there. They need to just put their heads down and go to work. Because when they do, they play better. They play cleaner. It doesn't seem to matter what the refs do or don't do. And they end up trouncing whatever team they're playing because they're just going to work. And so when they do that and they play their own pace and they don't try and catch up and they don't try to modify excessively for the other team, it actually puts the other team in in a bad footing, especially the Panthers. Every time we've won against the Panthers, that's what they're doing. They're like, we are going to play slow tonight. Fuck you. Come with us at our pace or do not. Do I have a lot of thoughts on this? Am I anxiety ridden about tonight? Yes, I am. So you be warned, because courtroom tomorrow might be cranky, depending on how tonight goes. So Boston Bruins, I don't know if you know this, but for several reasons, not the least of which is you want the cup again. You do. I know you want it, so go get it. Just go to work, do your thing. That's where we're at with the playoffs. For those of you who do not love hockey, sorry, I'm going to give you updates while we go, because I also take serious umbrage. Oh, I do want to cover one thing, because this was all an internet kerfuffle. There was a terrible call that happened on the ice last night. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of... Earlier this season, one of the linesmen tackled Marchand for no reason. If the Bruins do something... what was it earlier? There was a hook and collar high stick or something like that. And I was like, what did you do? And I can't remember the player who did it. And they showed the replay, and I was like, yep, you did that. Now I'm mad at you for doing the thing, but you absolutely got the right call. So I am not a fan that thinks that any call against the Bruins is a bad call. No, it's part of hockey. Sometimes you play a bet, and is that hook going to get called or not? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you grab a hold of the back of a jersey and hold on to them, try and get in front of them. Little roller derby move there. Sometimes the ref catches it, sometimes they don't. Refs do tend to catch it more with Boston than they ever catch it with some of the other teams. But nothing is like, what was it, 2013? We haven't reached that level quite yet. But I was kind of mad that it didn't get reversed last night, because it was a holding call on... Nope, I'm not going to get the right L name. I'm not going to get the right players. At every angle on the replay, and I have to listen to the national ESPN guys and ABC guys, and they have no love for the Bruins ever, and so it gets... I dislike when I have that kind of commentary. They're good. I love my Bruins commentary, and when I don't have my Bruins commentary, I tend to keep it down, because a lot of times it's like, they're not going to see things the way that I see it, and that's fine. But when even they are sitting there going, what is up with the linesmen and the Bruins this year? You know what? Something's up. If they're talking about it on TNT and ESPN, something's up. And that was a bad call. I dislike the call. I realize it's part of hockey. Sometimes you get good calls, sometimes you get bad calls. I'm just going to say, if we lose because of bad reffing, not bad play. I mean, I'll be mad if we lose because of bad play, but that is an easier loss for me to take than if we lose because a ref made a decision that was a wrong one and there was no way to fix it. So, and I know, play clean, but if you're gonna do the holds and stuff like that, like they do, all right, fine. But I want the refs to notice it a little more. Not every time. It's playoff hockey. Just a little more. That'd be great. With that, thank you all. Look at me. I kept it to an hour. When I'm back tomorrow, I have hopes for tomorrow, but you guys know me and time, and me and time are not always friends. And a lot of times I get time wrong. So I'm going to put out my hopes. I'm going to drop this tonight, get that up there for you. Hopefully tomorrow I'm going to finish with my catching up on all things Karen Reed, and I'll give a little update on my thoughts and feelings on tonight's game. And then I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if you want me to go live on Wednesday. Well, I think we'll go live on the weekend, maybe. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what kind of send me your questions. Send me your Karen Reed. Can you translate this question? If you are not from around here, if you are not from Maine, Massachusetts, general northern New England area, if this is a bit of a foreign land for you, send me the things that you want me to translate, and we'll go over that each day, because I am more than happy to go, oh, well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, yeah, drop everything in the comments. I forgot to say, do all of the YouTube things, do the likey, the subscribing, definitely do the subscribing and the likey things. Yeah, and keep me in the loop of what you want my translations on, what you want my my maniac take on, given that this is just a couple hours from me. Yeah, it's a little close to home. So, and now I'm buffering. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna say goodnight. I'm gonna say go Bruins. Go Bruins. I got my Bruins gear on. As always, I'm going to roll the outro, and I will see you real soon. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we will see you next time.